Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make this quick, easy, creamy spinach samp recipe. If you're new here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss a single recipe from me. All the measurements will be available for you in the description box below. So starting off with our samp, which I've just rinsed in some water, and then we're going to be adding that into our pot, and then to that we're just going to be adding enough water. In this instance I've actually added 2 cups of water, but as we continue cooking the samp, I do increase the water depending on how it's evaporating as it's cooking. So I'm seasoning the samp with a little bit of salt, and I'm going to give that a quick mix just to distribute the salt into the pot, and then I'm going to allow that to cook for 2 hours. So while it's cooking, I do check up on it every so now and again, and then I'll also give it a mix just to make sure that the samp doesn't get stuck at the bottom, because then it starts to burn and it's not necessary. So you just need to keep an eye on your samp and just give it a mix every so now and again, and also top up water if there's a need. Okay, so while that is cooking away, we can then go ahead and start preparing our spinach. So I'm just starting off with 1 bunch of spinach. Obviously the exact measurements will depend on how they package your spinach at your store. So mine is just 1 bunch, and then I'm just going to wash it up and then chop it into fine pieces, and then I'm going to start the preparations with some onion, which I've just diced up, and then I'm going to saute this onion until it's nice and translucent, and I will allow my onion to caramelize in this case just to get a little bit more for extra flavor into the spinach. So once our onions are nicely cooked and caramelized, I'm then going to add some chopped mushrooms. I know some people don't like mushrooms. This is an optional ingredient, but I just love spinach and mushroom when I make my creamy spinach, so I would recommend that you add the mushrooms. I've finely diced it because we don't want big chunks of mushrooms in our dish, and you're going to saute that until your mushrooms are fully cooked through and they sort of started changing color to become a little bit brown, just like what I'm showing you there. And then we're going to move over to the next step. So the next step will then be for us to add our spinach. Our spinach does have a little bit of water from it from when I rinsed it out, but because I allowed the onions to caramelize a bit, a lot of that flavor is still stuck at the bottom of the pan. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to allow it to steam the spinach. You know, spinach cooks really quickly. We're not trying to cook it for hours, and then also just lift off the flavor that the onions infused on the pot. So just to get the flavor that the onions made on the bottom of the pot, and you're just going to cook that for about 2 to 3 minutes. You don't really need much time cooking your spinach. It wilts really quickly, especially if you chopped it into little pieces. And then we're going to set that aside and continue with our samp. So my samp has been cooking for around 2 hours, and I'm just going to give it a mix and then also just test it to see if it has reached the softness that I prefer. So I'm just going to take a little bit out and then just try and mash it and see if it's almost there. Mine was almost done. I just added a little bit of water and cooked it again for about 15 to 30 minutes just to allow it to finish off the last bits. And then after that I came back, gave it a mix again, and I found that it was really nice and soft to the consistency that I prefer. So then next we're going to move over to the coloring phase of our. Okay, so to that now I'm going to be adding some butter. So butter just gives it a nice flavor, and it pairs well with cream. If you don't have butter, you can also use ghee, or what's this called, holsom. It's called holsom. You also get it in the section where you find your butter in the shop. And then I've also just added some turmeric. So the purpose of the turmeric here is just to change the color of our samp. We don't want a snow white samp. We actually want our samp to be slightly yellow. This is also optional if you don't want yours to be yellow, but I think it just gives it a nice vibrant color. And then to that I'm going to be adding some fresh cream, and then we're going to give this a mix. So when you start off by adding your cream, you'll see that it's a bit loose. You might think that, oh no, you've added too much, but you need to allow it to cook for about 15 minutes. just to thicken up that cream and the samp mixture together. So after 15 minutes, you can see that it has started to thicken up, and that's basically what's going to happen over time. All that cream is going to be absorbed by the samp the longer you leave it in your pot staying there. So at this point, I'm going to then add the spinach, and then I'm going to mix it up to evenly distribute it inside the pot, and then just make sure that every part of my samp has a little bit of spinach. And you can see that as I continue to mix it up, the samp has also just started to thicken up, and you can see less of the cream. And that's basically what I meant, that the longer your cream stays in the pot, the more it's going to just thicken up. And that's basically it for this recipe. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe, and like I said, if you are new here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss a single recipe from me. Comment in the comment section, like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.